I've opted to include multiple variants, multiple healer variants of the same comp. So for instance, you're going to see RMP and RMD. I considered just combining these together and calling it RMX, for instance, but I mean, there's huge strength differences between these different variants, so I thought I'd just include all of them and make it through it. So to me, tier S is any composition which doesn't have any hard counters, so they can just blindly queue without much fear of being hard countered on the ladder. Okay, number 1 is HLP, that is Mark's Destro Holy. I'm going to put this in, it's somewhere between tier B and C. I guess I'd put it in tier C. First season I'll go tier B, because it does have a decent amount of immunities, and damage is going to be very high with Destro, so I think it's way up there. Next is going to be, well, Thundercleave. Yeah, that just gets a tier S. You know what's funny is I don't even think it's going to be as strong as it will be at the end of the expansion. But in the first season, it's still going to be just great. Just a great comp. Okay, we've got what looks like Shatterplay. Shatterplay is way up there. I'd put it at probably tier A. I think it could lose to Cleave, depending. I mean, you've got a Frost Mage, but nonetheless, your Shaman can just die. Yeah, it does well against other Wizard Cleaves, just a well-rounded comp. Okay, Shadow Cleave. This is going to be way up there, at least in the first season. It falls off pretty hard near the end of the season because you have a hard time landing kills and mana is less of a concern with things like Solace. But they've said that they might change Solace, so who knows. And they've also nerfed the double Solace, so this might be way better than what I'm expecting. I still think in the first season it's going to be really good, so I'm going to put it up here in somewhere mid-tier A, probably. Okay, TSG is going to be outstanding in the first season. I think it still loses to like some Paladin Wizard Cleaves, LS Pally, the stuff like that. We'll see. I'm going to put it at tier A though. RLS, this is with Mutilate. So essentially this is the comp that you just rush one target down really, really quickly. And it destroys warriors, it really just melts warriors. It was very competitive back in 2009 and 2010. I don't think it's going to be as strong as it was back then, certainly not, but I think it will be decent. I'm thinking I'll put it in tier B. I think a lot of people would disagree with me here and they'd put it further up, but I'm going to put it tier B. Alright, RLD. This is going to be played as Subtlety. I think this is pretty low. In fact, I'd probably put it around tier D. Alright, oh yeah, so I wanted to make sure that I had at least every spec considered, at least one comp for every spec in here. And, so you think Holy Priests and Blood DKs and Boomkins and all of that. There was only one spec I think that I couldn't manage to find any comp for, and I think that was Blood DKs. Sorry, DKs. But you've got other comps. So, Holy Priest, though, I think this is a thing. It's not great, but I think you could run this and do pretty well. So the idea here is you've got a Mutilate Rogue that's really immobile, but you have the Holy Priest to give them shield, which would increase their speed, give them a little sprint, and to keep them clean of any debuffs. I could see it as being actually decent. So I might actually put it above RLD, as ridiculous as that is, but that's probably where I put it. Yeah, not a great comp, but I think it could work. Okay, let's see, RLP. Now, note a lot of these comps, just like the last comp I talked about and some of the others, you could play multiple specs. You could play different variants of it. So here, when I consider these comps, I basically put the spec that I think most people will run, but all of these can be shifted around. I mean, this could be, instead of Mutilate Affliction, it could certainly be Dance Destro. That's totally fine. But as, let's say, Mutilate Affliction here, let's put this at probably tier C or B. It's like a high C, low B. In the first season, I'm gonna say high C. Yeah. All right, we've got MLD. This is one of the best comps in the game. It's the comp that I was able to get highest rating with. I think in the first season it's gonna be tier S. Like I can't think of too many things that just like hard counter it. I think there are soft counters. I could see like Destro Shadowplay soft countering it, maybe Shatterplay. I could see some Super Cleave just running over the Druid. Yeah, it's up there though. Really, really good comp. MLS, I feel very similarly about. I do worry about a Cleave just stomping on the Shaman. I don't know. MLS is hard because MLS I think actually beats MLD, and I think MLS actually beats a lot of the Ellie lock, and basically MLS dominates other Wizard Cleaves. So it depends on where the meta ends up. If the meta is very Wizard Cleave heavy, I think MLS is going to be tier S. But if it's a very Cleave heavy, which I think it will be, I think it's going to be a little bit lower. So I'll put it at tier A for now. Yeah. All right, MLP, same exact boat. It's just for the same reasons. Yep, I'm gonna put it right here. All right, Turbo Cleave. That is Arms Enhance Holy Pally. Turbo Cleave's gonna be way up here, probably tier A, maybe tier B. I'm gonna put it in high B. I think it's really good, but definitely beatable. It's kind of on a timer, so you know you go in, you pop your wolves, you pop your divine sack and bubble, and you do all your things. And if the opponent is able to live, which is a big if, especially in the first season and in the first weeks of the first season, especially. But if you're able to live past that, then they kind of run out of steam. Okay, ATC. This is going to be your Arms Prot Warrior Holy Pally. I think it's going to be way less good in the first season just because there's not much in the way of PvE gear, and I feel like Prot Warriors really benefit from PvE gear more than perhaps any other spec in the entire game. I'm going to put it at like low B, maybe mid B. Like it's certainly a good comp. I just don't know how good Prot Warriors are going to be in the first season before all the PvE gear gets implemented. Like I could definitely be wrong on this. This could be way higher, but I'm going to put it at like mid B. Okay, Double Healer Warrior. I'm going to put it up at A. This is a great comp. I feel like I can't really speak to it that well because I didn't really see it. You know, so much of my time spent playing Wrath was playing, you know, on tournament realms and things like that, and it was banned on a lot of those realms. So I just didn't see it very often. I don't really know how good it is, but I know it's good. So yeah, I'll put it there. It could be higher, could be lower. Shadow play. I put Affliction here. This is one of those comps where I feel like it's just a 50-50. You can play Destro Shadow play or you can play Affliction Shadow play. Both of them are extremely strong. Destro does better against other Wizard Cleaves, but yeah, it's up here at A. I feel like I'm gonna have a lot of A. We'll see. Okay, this is Mark's Affliction Disc. This is like a drain comp. This is the kind of like you put Viper Sting on a healer, you drain mana, you play really defensively. I don't think it's good, to be honest. The meta is too fast, Cleave is too prevalent. I could see if there was like a lot of hybrid-y, you know, spell cleaves and double healers and that kind of stuff maybe, but it's just not what the meta is going to be, and I think we all know it, so it's D, I would say, like high D probably. Okay, DK Ellie Disc. This is a comp that I fought in, I fought a couple times. I think it was Flynn and Marm played it. I fought them in a tournament and they beat me, but I was playing, I think, HLS. I haven't seen this comp much. I kind of see it as almost like a dark horse. Nobody really played it back when, but I think it's got a ton of potential. I'm going to put it up here somewhere. Probably like, is it better than MLS and TSG? I put it high A. Like I think it has great potential. Now this is one of those comps where, like right now we're talking about ladder strength in the first season. This isn't necessarily indicative of like what will be popular, because some of these comps are much harder to play than others. And this is one of those comps where I think positioning and stuff is really going to matter. So where I think 3 random players can jump into, say, TSG or something like that and do quite well, it might be harder to jump into this. But those that are playing it well and correctly will do really well with the DK Ellie Disc. Okay, Ellie Shadow... What is this? What is this? Okay, Ellie Shadow Resto Druid. This is kind of that double healer type thing. Talbot ran this back in 2010 in like the season 8 gear, I guess. This is a comp that will be really good. I just don't know when it will get really good, because at the beginning of the expansion, damage is going to be higher for one, but also, which, you know, could lend this, could make this comp better rather. But shadows don't really have much in the way of mana at the beginning of the expansion, so I think this will really just depend on if Shadow Priest can solve the mana issue. If they can, this is going to be great, like tier A, tier S, you know, category. But I don't know. I'm going to put this in mid B for now, just because of that concern. I just don't know how it will do on mana. All right, Enhanced Rogue Disc. I don't know. I don't know, I haven't really fought this much. It could be really good. I mean, you got 2 offensive dispels. Rogues are going to be insane in the first season. It'll be with Bloodlust, and so I don't think the disc is just going to die before an opponent does, but it might. I think it could lose to like TSG and stuff. Though Rogue Peels are really good, especially with Hex. Dang, this might be really good in the first season. I'll put it at low A. Yeah, I think it's up there. Okay, WOTLK Paladin. This is just like tier B, in my opinion. I think it's a good comp. I think it can get rank 1. I'd probably put it high tier B, but it's not amazing. All right, Hunter. Oh, HLD. Put this at low C. It just doesn't have Bloodlust, doesn't have a Dispel, no Tremor. Just very, very Fury susceptible. It's Cleave susceptible because Druids can die. Yeah, I don't know. It's just not that great. All right, Hunter Destro. So HLS, I think it's going to be a little bit better than HLD, but not by much. Bloodlust just helps. I think this does really well against Spell Cleaves and like Mage, Turtle type comps. Probably does well against Shatter Play, but it's not amazing. I'd probably put it at like, yeah, right here. It could be played as BM actually. That might not be dumb. All right, this is Priest Beast Cleave. I think it's very strong. I don't think it's insane. I think this will die to Cleave. So I'm going to put it low B. We'll see. This could change. I think it just depends on if Disc Priest can live as this comp to things like Thundercleave, TSG, etc. All right, Boomkin Lock Shaman, BLS or LSD 2.0, whatever you want to call it. This comp's better than people gave it credit for. I think it's the only Boomkin comp I have in this entire list, but I do think it's actually quite good. I'll put it like mid-high B. It's pretty solid. All right, WLD is trash. I just don't think it's very good. Yeah. Let's put this like here. It's like you can make it work. And like Hoodridge and Adagas and them did it back when, but I think you need to be way better than your opponents to win. So to me, the comp just isn't that good. All right, WL Priest. This is if you played Hearthstone, there are tech cards where you'd essentially only run the card if the meta is appropriate. And I see this comp as one of those where it does really well against certain Wizard Cleaves. It does very poorly against Heavy Cleave. And I think Heavy Cleave is going to be really big at the beginning of the expansion. So I just don't see it as being that good. It gets way better later on, but at the beginning, I'm going to put it right here with WLD. It might be slightly better because you at least have a Dispel for the Warrior, but... Okay, Warrior Mage Pally. This comp's good. In the Season 8 gear, I think it was like viable. Not amazing, but viable. I'd probably put it like low B. At the beginning of this expansion, it might be better. So I don't think Warriors are very good at the beginning of the expansion relative to the end, but I do think immunities are going to be really important at the beginning of the expansion because of things like Bandits, Insignia, Rogues doing so much damage, Burst being so high, that having... Ice Block and Bop and Bubble and all of these different immunity cooldowns is going to be really nice. So I'll put this at high B. Okay, Ret Hunter Disc. This comp's great. In fact, in the first season, I think it's going to be amazing. I'm going to put it at like high A. Same comp, but with a Resto Shaman. I think it's going to be less good, but still really good. I'll put it right here. Beast Cleave, just straight up normal Beast Cleave, gonna be great. I would put it in tier S, but I think you can counter it, which kind of is my criteria here for tier S. Like, can you just straight up counter it? I don't know that you can counter things so hard like MLD or Thundercleave. Like, you can soft counter it probably, but I don't see any hard counters here. Whereas with Beast Cleave, I think there are hard counters. So I'm gonna put it in like high A again. I got a lot of in high A, but nonetheless. All right, we've got, this is kind of a weird one. It's not, it doesn't have a healer, at least no hard healer. So you've got Frost, Ellie, Shadow. So 2 hybrids with a Frost Mage. This is like, there's like one person that'll run this, and his name's EMCL. I don't know. It's a good comp for sure, but I'll put it at high B. That's where I'm estimating. I don't know. Because I can imagine, like, what does this comp do against Beast Cleave? A Beast Cleave runs in and tries to kill the Shaman. What, can they live? I don't really think they can. I don't know. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I might even put it at low B. I don't know. It's somewhere in B. I'll put it mid B. All right, Destro Ellie Disc. This is... It's the first of the... Well, it's Ellie Lock, so it's definitely very strong. It's going to be up in A or S. But how does it compare to things like LSD or LS Paladin? I think it's worse than both of those, because I think it can die to Cleave. But I do think it's better against spell cleaves, so it kind of depends on the meta. I'm going to put it at mid A. This is the comp that everybody hates. This is LSP, so same comp as last time, but this time you have Holy Pally, so you won't die to Cleave. I think this goes in tier S. I think this is arguably the best comp in the game. It's way up there. Jungle. Now this comp, I was gonna put jungle with a priest and with a pally so that we can kind of see the difference here, but I think I think the priest version is better, so I probably should have put that in, but whatever. I think jungle is gonna be good. I think it's gonna be up in tier A somewhere, probably low A. It's strong. Ferals, especially in the first season, ferals are way better than they used to be, so I'll put it here. It could be higher. RMD, so RMP with a druid, not great, in my opinion. I'll put it mid C. Yeah, not much to say about that. I think really good players could go far with it, but if you're just talking about raw strength, it's, I don't know, the same players would do better with another comp, so. Okay, Hunter, Unholy, so yeah, Hunter DK. So this is PHDK. I think it's going to be near the top in the first season. I think DKs in the first season are really good. I think Pallies are great because of the immunities. I'm going to put it at low A. It's a solid comp. Ret DK Priest. I think this is going to be great. Yeah. Also low A. I think it's a solid comp. You have the immunities. You've got a DK in the first season. You've got Dispel, offensive and defense. Actually, I might even go higher. Yeah, you've got Cross Dispel. I think it's a great comp. Okay, LSD. Just straight up traditional LSD. Could be played as Destro or it could be played as Affliction. It's great. I don't think it's as good as the Pally well, it might be actually. I don't know if Druids are just going to get run over. So that's kind of the question. And I also think it loses to RMP. So I'll put it at high A. By the way, I think Ellie Destro Holy Pally, LS Pally, could just lose to RMP. I'm not really sure. Again, the first season's kind of nutty. We've got Rocket Gloves with Bandits Insignia and Berserking and all this stuff. This might be knocked down a peg by RMP, but we'll see. Fire. This is the one fire comp that I put on here. Fire, Affliction, Holy Pally. So Mage Lock Pally. This is, I think, going to be actually quite good considering that it has a Fire Mage, and Fire Mages aren't really meta. But I do think it's pretty solid. The idea is you're just spreading dots on everybody with Living Bomb, and you can Dragon's Breath people without those dots really breaking it. That, and you have multiple immunities, you have a knockback. It's a good comp in my opinion. It doesn't hold up to some of the other ones. I'll put it at high B. I think a lot of people would fight me on this one, but I do think it's good. Okay, let's see. We've got Rogue, Shadow, Druid. I think this is decent. It's better than RLD, but I don't think it's amazing. The Rogues are really good in the first season, but Shadows go in the first season. Ugh, this is like a mixed bag. I'll put it at high C. I don't know. That's a weird one. Okay, let's see. Let's go Rogue. So same comp but with the Resto Shaman. I think it's just going to be a little bit better. Probably put it right here. Okay, last but not least, certainly not least, is RMP. This is the comp that kind of dominated TBC. It dominated the vast majority of the tournaments in Wrath, or at least did really well. It was always kind of a contender. You know, on the private realms, it did extremely well, but that's, you know, impartial due to the players that were playing it, or mainly because of the players. But yeah, it's just a great comp. It's in the first season with Bandits Insignia, the burst being so high. I think it could lose to Cleave, but it does have a lot of appealing. With in the hands of great players, it's going to be way up there. I'll put it at low S. God, it might even be mid S. Like, it's just super. It's super good. It'll be really, really, really strong at the beginning of the expansion, especially. So, yeah. Okay, so something to note on this, now that we kind of have our list here. I didn't include every spec. I did miss out on Blood DK. I wanted to find a comp, but I just don't think Blood DKs are a thing at all. I also didn't include Demo Lock. I do think Demo Locks are pretty viable, but basically any comp where you have an Affliction or a Destro, you could just switch Demo and it would be probably just slightly worse, you know, or if not, you know, a tier or two below it. It's still strong, still viable, but Demo is just worse. Another thing I didn't do is I didn't include Preg spec. Preg is new, I would say, in that it was invented, I think, in like 2020 or something, which is 10 years after the expansion came out, or ended rather. So I could include Preg. Preg is super interesting. It's like a Prot Ret hybrid. It's like half healing, half damage. Very weird, but it's very, it's got lots of longevity. It never really goes zoom. I could see Preg double healer just finding its way into the meta and maybe even topping the meta. Some weird, like here we've got double healer warrior. I think I put it right here. This with Preg instead of Holy could be really nuts. I'm not totally sure. I just can't really speak to it yet because I haven't seen it enough. There are about 45 comps in this list. Obviously, you probably have a comp that you're thinking of that you say is great and I should have mentioned it, and I'm sorry I didn't, but in the end there are, God, what was it, like 40, yeah, I think 4,060 different possible combinations without class stacking. Like, I just wasn't going to do that. So these are the comps that I think of when I think of Wrath Arena and 3v3. Yeah, lastly, double healers. There's probably going to be a lot of other double healers. I could see double healer DK working out, double healer Hunter. I just didn't really touch on them too much. I know double healer is going to be good. I just don't know how good. So take that as you will. No tier E here. I mean, if a comp's so bad that it reaches tier E, I probably don't include it in this list unless somebody specifically says, or if it's popular for some reason. I don't know. I just, you know, I can't imagine any of these just being impossible to win, basically. Okay, that's about it. So again, this is going to be just the first season of the expansion. I think the first couple weeks are going to look different than this before people get resilience, but I think this is probably somewhere around where we'll land. I will look back on this in season 2 and think I am done. Thanks for watching.